at what they were making when they did retire. Yes.
The reason I bring it up is because it became such a firestorm in the legislature last year that they even passed a bill saying you can't hire these folks back after 6 years. But
well,
I'm thinking about
if they stay out a year or 6 months, you can.
Right.
You can hire.
But
them.
I'm just thinking that I don't want to see anybody lose their job, and I hate to lay anybody off, and I'm going to do everything I can to figure out a way we can keep you from having to have that conversation. Because I can't even imagine having a conversation with a young deputy that's just starting out saying, I'm going to let you go, but I just hired somebody back that went through drop and took a really large sum payment, and they've got a really nice retirement. I'm going to keep them because that's got to be a really uncomfortable conversation.
I don't know that will happen, but definitely wouldn't be a wash, because the person in that position, you have to make promotions. You have to put the responsibility that they, just like I don't mind telling you, the captain that's over all the major crimes, over all narcotics, over several other things. We only have one major.
Patrol deputy's going to really feel the love.
We have one major, and I have 3 captains. I've got one into jail. I've got one over operations. I've got one over administration. And one over major crimes. So I've got 3 on operations sides and one in jail. But
District 1 has 20 officers, and during that calendar year from October 1st, 2007 through September 30, 2008, they answered 22,932 calls. Now I'm assuming that they're just like my business and we got 220 work days a year. And I don't know, they work a 10 or 12 hour shift. I don't know what they
work at 10.
They work 10. 20 officers working 220 days a year, 22,932 calls works out to 5.2 calls per day. We've measured over the years the number of deputies per capita, the competitive salaries from Tallahassee back or our cohort counties and all. Have we ever measured what our average number of calls per day is versus our cohort counties and those are?
Well,
five calls in District 1, 6 in District 2, almost 6 in District 3, 6 in District 4. District 5 was 4 calls per day per deputy. But when we got to environmental, those 2 guys, they're averaging 10 per day. And I'm just curious, how does that stack up with our cohort counties?
If you base it on 365 days, see, they only work 40 hours.
Do they work 365 or do they work, because that's not going to help you.
No,
that's going to make the numbers even lower.
That's what I'm saying. They only work 40 hours a week times so many weeks. And then you got to figure in annual leave, you got to figure in sick leave. Of course, they work a lot of their holidays, but actual time on the job is how you come up with the number, which whether those numbers or those.
How would we compare to Okaloosa or Escambia or one of our cohort counties on calls per day?
We could do it.
Just curious. I mean, I'm not in the business of telling you how to run law enforcement, so I'm not even nearly qualified. But in my adult life, I have managed assets and manpower and moved them around a bunch. And when we talk about closing some offices, it looks like there might be some wiggle room in here.
But also, Commissioner, calls for services is really reactive police work. It's not proactive.
But I noticed in your presentation for today, though, you talked about one of the effects would be that we would stop answering low priority calls. So I'm assuming in this 5 calls per day, there's some low priority calls, and I'm not sure what that definition is.
We respond to everybody that calls the sheriff's office. Now, we could, if it got to the point that we could, if their mailbox was knocked down, or if they
in the tree,
if they whatever, if we said no, we can't respond to that, we've never done that. Just like a lot of people say we shouldn't be escorting funerals, we still do that. But all of that is reactive calls. That means that there was a card stamp. That's not them getting out and traffic light out or something. They don't stamp cards for everything they do, and they don't when they patrol into a neighborhood to prevent crime. You know, the reason the patrol cars are marked is high visibility. All of that is not measured in actual calls for service. That's most of that. A lot of that is after the crime has been committed. They're responding to a call from a citizen, and I have never ever scrutinized the calls. I hope I never have to. But, and here's the way you look at that. What are you preventing, even if the little lady's cat is in a tree, what are you preventing from point A to point B to get there? that
And,
Mark
and, you know,
Patrol.
last week we didn't get the grant because I understand the money went to areas that had higher crime rates. So you may be making that point that there is some preventative here, but
Sure.
but I am curious how we stack up against other departments. If we take out annual leave and days off and other, even if we went up to 6 or 7 calls per day,
Well,
with 10-hour shift, it doesn't-
if you looked at it to the point that you reduced your manpower to the level that you had one person in the bar at night instead of two, or one person in District 1 or one, and like I say, we still run.
but there's 20 officers in District 1, 28 in District
Yeah.
2. How would we ever get down to where we only had one at night?
Well, you divide that, Commissioner, by 365 days a year, and those numbers, plus you working only 40 hours a week, and you can do it real quickly. And we can break all that down and show you. By the time you take the sick leave, you take the annual leave, and you spread them out 24/7, that's not that many officers. It might sound like a big number, but it's not. Commissioner Williamson, you had some questions, and I think you and I, what I just talked about as far as the attrition. The 7 deputies was 394,700. Commissioner Cole had some budget. That's all your budget issues. You have any other questions?
Just, you know, if we're going to support this, if you're, you know,
Okay.
the caveats I put on it.
Commissioner Lynchard, you know, you called me about the school resource. Over the last school resource officers of the last 2 years, we have had 8,444 complaints, 76 arrests, 161 warrant applications, 38 referred to teen court, and we currently have 5 middle school SROs and 5 high school SROs. And that equates to, got the numbers on, 361,000 paying half. Now, from what I understand, y'all would like for me to request that the school board pick up 100% of all SROs. Okay. And if they do that, they can keep 5 for all the high schools at the same amount of money. It would eliminate, unless they increase their funding, because it's a 50-50 match on salary plus benefits, and it equates to the same value for them that it does for us. And that, of course, is based on the officers that we currently have assigned at $316,109. And there again, all those aren't starting salaries. Those are officers that some of them have been here for a while, because we don't like to put brand new deputies in schools. But that's what I will do.
Can we do furloughs where we kind of spread the pain out? Nobody's lost their job, but maybe they go a week or two without pulling a paycheck.
Well, the other day when we had our latest budget workshop meeting, we talked a lot about declining revenues, and it's not going to get better, especially with the different new rules that we have to play by as far as revenue. That baseline every year is going to start out as the baseline the previous year. If you don't have new construction and we don't take advantage of that personal income growth, I mean, we're dead in the water. And that's why I said I'd like to do a 2 to 3 year projected revenue forecast. And I know a forecast is a forecast is a forecast. But we need to be doing that forecast and sharing that with all the constitutional officers, so when Sheriff Hall is trying to put his budget together like everybody else next year and 2 years out, they're going to know that the revenue's not going to be there, plain and simple, unless they take to the people some other source of revenue.